Okay, good morning everyone. Welcome to this session. This is the September 18, our first session one. The key topic is the role of religion in consolidating humanity in the 21st century. Thank you everyone for spending the time. I know there's so many things, everybody's so busy today. The session we will address the several issues, but before I start the introductions, I'm very happy and grateful I have Dr. Mohammed to join with me, and later on he will share some words. This session, I believe everyone already have a handout. We're going to talk about the role of religious in strengthening the unity within religious community as the base for global solidarity among humanity. And also talk about consolidating potential of religions in shaping society, social policy. We're going to talk about from national decisions to universal human values, and also some case study sharing. And the third area, focus for the humanitarian mission of religions, the role for international and local organization in strengthening the global fraternity. And finally, of course, very important, is talk about religious organization and migration, protecting rights, supporting integration, and advancing the principle of unity in diversity. It's very nice. We have 7 panelists this morning, and everybody, we united as one. And as a matter of fact, we have a crisis this morning. One of our speakers need to participate at one very, very important meeting. So we move around and everybody get consensus. So interfaith, interreligious team, we step one, unity, working together. So on behalf of Buddhist Tzu Foundation, on behalf of Buddhism, for this topic, let me quickly to share with you what is Buddhist perspective. Number one, Buddhist perspective, we think this is a universal foundation. In Buddhists, we always remind all beings are interdependent and none of us exist in isolation. We have to be together. What we do to others or to nature, to our shared home, it's going to return to ourselves. This teaching is not only a spiritual insight, but also a practical truth to our globalization world. At this heart, the Buddha's heart, we call us to live with the compassion and loving kindness, to elevate suffering without discrimination of race, faith, nationality, and no harming. The core value invite us to seek peace and justice for humanity. So when we respond of the crisis of our current time, today humanity faces immense challenges: climate change, displacement, inequality, and conflict. Buddhism offers both spiritual guidance and practical response. For our Mother Earth, our planet, the Dharma encourages simplicity, respect for life, and harmony with nature. Principles that align with sustainability and urgent need to protect our environment. For displaced and marginalized people, Buddha's practice remind us of generosity and equanimity. We welcome everyone with dignity and care. And for society divided by poverty and inequality, Buddhism advocates community sharing and right livelihood and pursuit of balance over exploitation. So we serve as a building bridge across the religions. Buddhism also plays a vital role in inter-religious cooperation. It is often a bridge builder we call middle path, Buddha path, seeking harmony rather than supremacy. So it's very important for us of this dialogue and peace building. Buddhist tradition have offered tools for reconciliation, mindfulness, and restorative practices. This resonates not only within Buddhist community, but also across the culture and faith. And Dharma in actions, very important. Buddhism teaching not only reflection, but also action. Across the road, the whole global engaged Buddhist movements embody compassion through humanitarian work, offering disaster relief, medical care. You're going to hear some of our panelists to share, education, environmental protection. The Buddha Tzu Chi Foundation, for example, I'm from, has worked with more than 136 countries to serve people in need, regardless of religions or nationality. This is Dharma in action, elevating suffering and inspire hope. A vision for the future together. All my dear brother and sister, the friends, the role of religion in the 21st century is not to dominate, but to heal humanity fragmentation. It is the elevate dialogue into action and cultivate consciousness of one humanity, one earth. One humanity, one earth. So let us, as a group of faith, and that's use our consciousness, that's walking this path together. And hopefully, I believe you have some takeaway. And I'm very grateful and to have my MC, my colleague, Dr. Mohammed, to say something as well. Please.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Honorable co-moderator, eminent panelists, eminent scholars, religious leaders, ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you all in this parallel session on the theme of role of religion in the consolidating of humanity in the 21st century. The emerging power of the religion in the 80s forced Harvey Cox to realize that today the collapse of urban civilization and the rise of traditional religions are two main hallmarks of our era. Secularism is no more an issue. The challenge today is pluralism. One of the great issues of secularity was anonymity. The great issue of the multicultural city is identity, ethnic, racial, and religious identity. Africans, American, Asian, Hispanic, Buddhist, and Muslims. We are living in an urban and global context. We are facing a new texture of religious diversity with increasing frequency. Great cities where people of various cultures and faith live together, and we have contemporary understanding of rich pluralism inside religious traditions like Islam, Christianity, and Buddhism. In order to create mutual understanding, we have to realize that rise of the migration, both nationalism and ethnicity became weaker. Religion, on the other hand, can be transported and can flourish anywhere in the world if it is given the right circumstances. Religion was and is and will be a central force in the human life. Due to the importance of religion, recognition of religious diversity is vital for its articulation in the ways that can contribute to peaceful coexistence among the followers of various religions. We are meeting at a time when dialogue is needed more than ever. We are a world in transition. Urbanization and migration are on the rise. We are striving for a more sustainable and equitable path to development. The global security landscape continues to shift dramatically, but we are facing several risks: civil conflicts, terrorism, organized crimes, and health issues are threatening millions of people. These dangers transcend national borders. Similarly, we have seen development in the science and technology, and at the age of artificial intelligence, it is difficult to imagine the role of the world religion. We need to understand that the present development in science and technology requires parallel progress in the relationship of followers of different religions and cultural traditions. Without this, sustainable peace and development is not possible. The time has affirmed the continuous need for joint efforts by all major civilizations to promote a culture of dialogue on the basis of difference, diversity, plurality, tolerance, mutual respect, freedom of expression, and sincere readiness at the grassroots level. Agreements on the agenda on the basis of common interests like spiritual satisfaction, transcultural norms, justice, and submission to the creator of the universe will lead dialogue to success. The dialogue aimed at peace and development is the only hope for saving the world from the clash of civilizations. Otherwise, worldwide conflicts and violence will continue in future, taking religious dimensions after feeding from misconceptions, misunderstanding, and misrepresentations. Confidence of human being on the movement of dialogue will push us ahead, and we will be able to talk on matters that are important to all, like ecology, holy places, medical ethics, food technology, and ethics of artificial intelligence, as has been mentioned by His Excellency President of Kazakhstan. Worldwide efforts against hunger, disease, and nature can be unified only after better understanding and harmony among faiths and civilizations through dialogue. We have to understand here that the initiatives and contribution of various nations, countries, and civilizations, such as the initiative of Republic of Kazakhstan, are needed. And I would like to conclude my brief discussion that we are on the face of enormous opportunities. We are the first generation that can end global poverty, but we are the last generation that can address global warming before it is too late. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the responsibility of the religious leaders and followers of different faiths to communicate all over the world, particularly to their faiths and followers, that crimes on the name of religion are crimes against the religion. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Mohammed. Indeed, it's a very important moment, like the presidents mentioned last night. We're going to start it, the first speakers, Mr. Gaten Roy, Permanent Representative of the World Evangelical Alliances to the United Nations in Geneva, Switzerland. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Eminences, Excellencies, friends of peace. Thank you also for our unity this morning. I'm the one that has the diplomatic issue that has to be dealt with at 11:30, so please don't consider it disrespectful. When I get up shortly before 11:30, I will have to go to a meeting about a very important issue. I've entitled my talk for you this morning, The Unique Role of Faith Actors Towards Solution-Oriented Interventions in Human Rights Crisis, Shrinking Spaces, and Fragmented Multilateralism. The World Evangelical Alliance is one of the largest church movements of the world, with 600 million Christians in 147 national alliances. And we experience firsthand the worldwide turmoil, the fragmentation on a daily basis, the marginalization, persecution, execution of our Christian constituency, and also, unfortunately, the regular burnings of our churches. All of us that are here, we hope for change. We talk about change, but may I also be bold enough to say it's not enough to talk about the hope for change. You and I have to become part of the solution. And only talking about we need a solution is not the solution. It actually sometimes becomes part of the problems. Now, I'm happy we agree that we need solutions, but we have to become part of the solution, and where we are part of the problem, also need to decide that we change that to become more part of the solution. And I see great hope in faith-based actors because the values that are intrinsic to our religions are actually the values that we need to become part of the solution that the world needs. International diplomacy is not always adept at solving these problems. I sit at the UN in Geneva. We work on some of the most challenging diplomatic issues of the planet. But the religious intrinsic values are actually part of the hope. Humility, compassion, forgiveness, love of God, but also of the people that He created. Those are common values that most of us espouse. And honestly, without these values, we are lost. But with these values, we can win. We can become part of the solution. Humanism won't save us. These values that are intrinsic to religion will save us. 2,000 years ago, the Apostle Paul wrote to a church that was being massacred, to the church in Rome. They were faced with daily persecutions, killings. Some of them were fed to the lions in the Colosseum. And Paul said something surprising to them. He actually asked them to become part of the solution. Now, this is surprising because the church was persecuted. They were not the real problem, except that they were a new church. And he was telling them, do not conform any longer to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, His good, pleasing, and perfect will. So what Paul is saying is, don't be like them. Think differently. Change your perceptions and become part of the solution, but part of God's solution. Align your will with God's will to become part of that solution. So at the World Evangelical Alliance in our advocacy, we have decided to reduce the areas where we are part of the problem and to increase the areas to become part of the solution. And we do this more than ever in a very discreet way, far away from the press. You don't need to know what we're doing. We wish to engage to help humanity, to save people, to save lives the way that God wants it. So I just want to bring up 3 simple points, how to become part of the solution. So the first point is serve God and mankind through love. So in that same book of Romans, Paul wrote, be living sacrifices, holy and pleasing to God. This is your spiritual act of worship. Now, as a teacher of the Bible, as a spiritual leader, I don't have to read further. When I see worship, I remember the Greek word that's behind this. It's called latreia. And latreia means to serve. So one of the things that I do the most now in global diplomacy is to ask the people that I meet, how can I serve you? Now, the expressions on the faces of people when I ask this question is sometimes quite surprising. They look at me. Some have said, I've never heard this question before. But with the question, I also mean I wish to listen to you. I wish to hear what you feel about this issue. Because if we don't listen to people, we will fail. If we wish to dictate the agenda in some of the tougher problems of the world, we will fail. Because one of the reasons for the problems that we have is people dictating their agenda onto other people. It's not the question, how can I serve you, that makes the difference. It is the attitude that is behind this question, the spiritual values that we all, or most of us, espouse that are behind this question. Point number 2, we have decided to stop complaining, to stop bringing demands to the table and be smart enough to bring proposals for solutions. Solutions that are agreeable to both sides, and if the problem is huge, then start with smaller chunks. Start with smaller issues in the hopes that once we've solved the more simple issues, that we can move on to the bigger ones. Everybody, most people that I know, so everybody means most people, what they do is they complain. We have reason to complain. When our people are being killed, we could complain. The problem is, although we may have a right to complain, it doesn't change anything. What changes something is to think differently, apply these spiritual values, and start working with people, sometimes the perpetrators for us, and work with them to find a solution. And the third point, to become part of the solution, is we don't wish to denigrate people, we don't wish to denigrate countries. We wish to build relationships with governments, with religious leaders that foster trust, and through this trust that lay the groundwork for considering solutions. Those are my 3 simple points. Is this working? Yes. Can I give you a lot of examples? Unfortunately not. You won't find this in the press. Once it works, we are satisfied that it is working because press kills advocacy, kills diplomacy. All of a sudden, when somebody takes the credit, usually somebody else feels offended. So we keep away from this. God gets the glory, and that's enough for us. We don't need the glory. But just to give you a short example without naming the country, I just came back from a country where our people are killed almost daily. I have a library of execution videos. I don't know if you've ever seen videos of people being executed live. It is not nice. But it is the truth. I went to the country, we started a meeting, I went 2 years ago to this country. We set up a multi-religious group with different religions coming together, wishing to address extremism in that country. At my last meeting, we were ready to bring a solution in the name of our whole group to the Minister of Religion. A proposition that sets up a new type of peace committee, let's call it that way, that is trained in de-escalation. So they don't just talk about peace, they go when problems are arising and they intervene. They try to stop it. So one religious leader said, I knew they were coming, they were going to burn your church, and I stood in front of them and I said, if you want to burn that church, you have to burn me first. And he said everybody left. They would never burn me as one of their religious leaders. This is the type of people we need that make a difference. So I proposed this to the minister, that we wish to have these new committees that promote peacekeeping, de-escalation. And the minister was so impressed. He said, I've never heard of a concept like this before. We are willing to work with you. So we are now moving towards implementation of this solution. So in closing, I wish to invite you all that we become part of the solution, that we become active ambassadors who serve humanity and mirror God's values. Let's just not talk about solving the problem. Let's become part of the solution in that we engage in solving the issue. And I want to close with a quote from the Brazilian philosopher Paulo Coelho, who said, "The world is changed by your example, not by your opinion." Thank you very much.
you, thank you. That's a wonderful inspiration and also very clear case study. Love, proposal, and build up trust. So that's wonderful. This is the message from Mr. Gaten Roy, permanent representative of the World Evangelical Alliances to the United Nations in Geneva. Dr. Mohammed, your turn. The floor.
Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I would like to request to all the panelists, we should be very brief and complete presentation within the time limit, because this room has to be provided after this panel discussion for another panel discussions. Ladies and gentlemen, Republic of Egypt has several characteristics around the world. It is representing one of the ancient civilization, and it is also house of Islamic civilization and Islamic faith. At present, in Egypt, there are three major renowned institutions of the Muslim world: Al-Azhar University, Office of the Grand Mufti of Egypt, and the Ministry of Awqaf. It is honor for us that His Excellency Dr. Usama Al-Azhari, Minister of Awqaf of the Arab Republic of Egypt, is with us. He has diverse contribution in the ministry and the religious life of the Egypt people, and his contribution is recognized all over the world. We welcome His Excellency, and now I humbly request His Excellency Dr. Usama Al-Azhari, Minister of Awqaf of the Arab Republic of Egypt, for his presentation. معالي وزير أستاذ الدكتور أسامة الأزهري فليتفضلوا مشكورا.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد سيد الأولين والآخرين وعلى آله وصحبه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. شكرا جزيلا لسيد رئيس الجلسة، وشكرا لرئيسة الجلسة الموقرة، وأشكر المنصة الموقرة والسادة الحضور الكرام. وأتقدم أولا بخالص الشكر إلى جمهورية كازاخستان وإلى شعبها العظيم وإلى قيادتها الحكيمة، متمثلة في فخامة الرئيس قاسم جومارت توكايف، على رعايته وتشريفه بافتتاح هذا المؤتمر المهم، القمة الدولية الثامنة لزعماء الأديان بالعاصمة أستانا. وإننا في مصر لنعتز كثيرا بالأخوة التي تربط فخامة الرئيس عبد الفتاح السيسي رئيس جمهورية مصر العربية بأخيه فخامة الرئيس قاسم توكايف، مع الأخوة المتجذرة بين الشعبين العظيمين من أيام الملك الظاهر بيبرس وقبل ذلك وإلى اليوم وإلى آخر الزمان، مع عمق الروابط العلمية التي شيدها الأزهر الشريف بين البلدين، مع الجامعة المصرية للثقافة الإسلامية نور مبارك هنا في مدينة الماطي جنوب كازاخستان، إلى غير ذلك من الروابط العميقة التي أذكرها شاكرا لجمهورية كازاخستان كرم الضيافة وجميل الحفاوة، داعيا لهذا المؤتمر أن يحقق نتائجه المرجوة التي تصبو إليها دولنا وشعوبنا جميعا في ظل ظرف دولي معقد وحساس، ويحتاج إلى قبس من الحكمة والرشد ليتجاوز العالم أزماته الخانقة، وليطفئ نيران الحروب، وليعظم الاستفادة والانطلاق إلى آفاق التكنولوجيا وعصر الذكاء الاصطناعي، مع بصيص نور من القيم الروحية الأخلاقية السامية التي تعيد التوازن إلى ذلك كله. واسمحوا لي أن أوجز كلمتي في عدة نقاط. أولا، جاء الإسلام بمبدأ تعارف الحضارات بموجب قول الله تعالى في القرآن الكريم: يا أيها الناس إنا خلقناكم من ذكر وأنثى وجعلناكم شعوبا وقبائل لتعارفوا. وتعارف الحضارات مبدأ أكبر من تحالف الحضارات أو الحوار بين الحضارات، فلعل كل القادة الدينيين الحاضرين على اختلاف دولهم وأديانهم أن يتبنوا هذا المنطلق، وأن نتوحد سويا لمجابهة كل الأفكار والمنطلقات والفلسفات التي تروج لصدام الحضارات وتصارعها. ثانيا، الحياة في الإسلام مقدسة. قال الله تعالى في القرآن الكريم: ومن أحياها فكأنما أحيا الناس جميعا. فإحياء نفس واحدة ينزل منزلة إحياء كل نفس على وجه الأرض، وقتل نفس واحدة ينزل في بشاعته وهوله منزلة قتل كل نفس على وجه الأرض. فهيا بنا جميعا مع كل أتباع الأديان لاستحضار كل الشواهد الدينية التي تزكي هذا المعنى، والتي نعظم بها شأن الحياة الإنسانية، ونطفئ بمجموع ذلك كله طوفان الحروب والإبادة والجوع والفقر الذي تعاني منه البشرية اليوم. ولا شيء يؤلم ويعذب ضمير العالم اليوم كمثل المجازر والأهوال والتجويع وقتل عشرات الألوف رجالا ونساء وأطفالا، وقصف المساجد والكنائس والمستشفيات، مع مختلف صور الإبادة الجماعية التي ترتكبها إسرائيل بكل صلف وغطرسة في حق شعب فلسطين عموما وسكان غزة خصوصا. والأفدح من ذلك أنها ترتكبه بمنتهى التضليل الإعلامي الذي يقلب الحقائق ويدلسها، ثم تغدر إسرائيل وتقصف العواصم العربية التي حاولت المساعدة والوساطة. فأرجو أن يتحد ضمير العالم الحر، وأن يتحد القادة الدينيون الحكماء العقلاء على رفض ذلك كله ومواجهته بكل الصور، وأن يتكاتفوا مع 142 دولة صوتت في الأمم المتحدة لصالح حل الدولتين ووجود دولة فلسطينية على حدود سنة 1967 وعاصمتها القدس الشرقية. لعل هذا المؤتمر أن يكون نقطة قوة تضاف لعقلاء العالم في هذا الصدد. إن العالم وهو يحتفل اليوم بمرور 80 سنة على انتهاء الحرب العالمية الثانية لا يشهد توتراً وتعقيداً وتلويحاً باستخدام السلاح النووي، ونريد أن نتكاتف معاً مع كل الأديان والشعوب حتى لا تأتي أجيال قادمة تحتفل بمرور سنوات على انتهاء حرب عالمية ثالثة إن بقي في البشرية من يحتفل بعدها. نحن نريد للأجيال القادمة باسم كل الأديان أن تحتفل الأجيال القادمة بالاكتشاف والاختراع والتوصل إلى علاج كل الأمراض المستعصية، واكتشاف أعماق البحار وأعماق الفضاء، ونشر ثقافة السلام واحترام الآخر. إن إنفاق مئات المليارات على 100 مرصد يحلق في أعماق الكون مثل مرصد جيمس ويب، وعلى إطعام الجوعى، وعلى تشييد الجامعات، وعلى دعم البحث العلمي أنفع وأرجى ديناً ودنيا من الإنفاق على الحرب والتسليح والدمار ثم إعادة الإعمار. ثالثاً، بناء الإنسان رسالة كل شعوب العالم وحضاراته، والقيم الدينية والروحية التي توافقت عليها الأديان كلها هي نقطة الانطلاق لحماية الإنسان من تزييف وعيه، وتبني البرامج التعليمية والتثقيفية الرفيعة التي ترسخ منطق الإيمان ومنطق التعايش المشترك ومنطق الثقة بين الشعوب والحضارات والدول والأديان ومنطق حسن الجوار بين الدول والشعوب. رابعاً، حماية البيئة ومواجهة التغير المناخي قبل أن يكون أزمة راجعة إلى الثورة الصناعية والتزامات الدول الكبرى، فإنه التزام أخلاقي ينبغي أن يتبناه كافة قادة الأديان لترسيخه في أعماق الثقافة البشرية حول الكوكب وبين كافة الأوساط العاملة والتكنولوجية وصاحبة القرار. خامساً، رعاية المهن وتزكية قيم العمل والإنتاج، ووضع مدونات السلوك الوظيفي وعلوم آداب المهن، وإبراز قيم الإتقان والإنتاج والوفرة من أعظم مقاصد الأديان كلها. وقد جاء الإسلام بالعمران وببناء المؤسسات وبصناعة الحضارة وتحقيق الغنى والوفرة. فأدعو كل قادة الأديان إلى التوعية بحب العمل مع كل الموروث الروحي والقيمي في كافة الأديان مما يدعو لذلك. سادساً الانطلاق إلى آفاق الذكاء الاصطناعي وصناعته الثقيلة في ميادين الطاقة والطب والفلك والتكنولوجيا والوسائط المعرفية ومحركات البحث التي تتمتع بالتفكير والتخيل والافتراض والمحاورة، مع كافة المهن والوظائف الناشئة من ذلك أو التي تندثر بسبب ذلك. كل هذا ضرورة يفرضها الواقع، ويتحتم علينا الانطلاق والتحفيز إليها بشجاعة، مع ما يطرحه ذلك من أبعاد فلسفية ومعرفية قد تؤثر على منطق الإيمان إيجاباً أو سلباً. ولا بد لكل قادة الأديان من تقديم منظومة القيم التي ترشد ذلك وتزوده بالحكمة والبصيرة. وشكراً جزيلاً لحضراتكم.
Shukran, His Excellency Dr. Usama Al-Azhari. He has pointed out the contribution of the Islamic civilization, and he mentioned that Islamic civilization is the updatation of human civilization, because Islamic civilization has the components of all the previous civilizations. He also talked about the importance of human life in Islamic thought, and he mentioned what is happening with the Palestinian in Gaza. He suggested that we should have a civilization of peace for the new generations, because without peace, the development, and particularly sustainable development, is not possible. So we are thankful to His Excellency Dr. Usama Al-Azhari for this wonderful presentation.
Thank you, everyone. We're going to move from Egypt to Malaysia. We have the honor to invite Bishop of Kuching, Reverend Donald Jute, Chairman of the Angelica Interfaith Commission. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Well, I bring greetings from my home country of Malaysia. Yesterday, my colleague Bishop Joe Wells also extended the same greetings from the Anglican Communion worldwide, or rather our headquarters, as it were, based in London. Because beside being Bishop of Kuching, I'm also the chairman of the Anglican Worldwide Interfaith Commission. The role of religions in consolidating humanity in the 21st century. This is such a relevant topic, and I want to pay tribute to the president and the government of this beautiful country of Kazakhstan for hosting us here and to have us talking about the role of religions in consolidating humanity in the 21st century now. With this Congress, I am sure Kazakhstan is going to lead the world for world peace. There is no doubt that religions have a dual potential to be a source of both cohesion as well as conflict. The potential to consolidate humanity, resulting in a better world that is more peaceful, more united, more prosperous, and more just, with strong community bonds. Yet, religion also have the capacity to cause conflict, dissensions, and divisions, and we have seen so many of those. And dare we say now, no more. This may be attributed, of course, to the differences in belief and the promotion of the out groups versus the in groups. Coming from Malaysia, which, like Kazakhstan, is predominantly Muslim, and I can say that religions, there I say again, Islam, have also been used, or rather abused, and continue to be used and abused largely by politicians for their own selfish and divisive political agenda. I can mention at this Congress how the different political parties in Malaysia try to outdo one another, try to prove that they are more Islamic than the other political parties, their opponents. And the result is that there is more and more extreme version of Islam, making others fearful and feeling threatened. Just a small example, the use of the term kafir, which in itself is a good word to say that you are not part of us as a believer. And in many ways, it is not a very sensitive word, but as it is used in the Malaysian context, kafir equals pig, being dirty, and the rest of it. So it is a derogatory word with derogatory connotations, particularly when used against the non-Muslims. I believe it is not a very upbuilding word in our context. And so we have much to learn from this country, Kazakhstan. For our purpose today, let us focus on the good and the positives with the hope and prayer that together we can build on those and defeat the bad and erase the negatives worldwide. In the first instance, all religions contribute towards the strengthening of unity within their own religious communities. With a single faith, shared belief, shared rituals, support networks, all these create a powerful sense of unity and belonging for that particular communities. We can be thankful that in Malaysia, we are still able to celebrate feasts like Christmas, Ramadan, and Diwali together. And this brings the individual group together with the rest of us, together in strengthening our social bonds. Sadly, amongst our Muslim friends, this is not quite the case. There is still a sense of we are too holy for you to join us, and we do not need you to nullify or to cause a sense of disruption and being dirty as you are, kafir. What I want to say is this. As we acknowledge the goodness of religions, we need to face up the issue of being too sensitive to the other who are not part of us. And so I want to go on the good. This internal solidarity that we mentioned just now can be extended outward in order to foster global solidarity. It can be encouraged and enhanced through congress such as this that we are having here in Astana, through interfaith dialogue, through genuine and open cooperation, and a shared emphasis on values such as love and care and concern, compassion, and a desire for peace. Religious leaders, we must actively engage in promoting inter-religious understanding and respect and acceptance, even of our differences. Differences should not cause our division, rather must be a cause for a greater beauty in our humanity. And so again, I urge, and we must focus on our shared universal humanitarian values rather than our divisive theological differences. Let me repeat myself. There are differences between us. We must acknowledge it and must not be ashamed of it. But those must not be used to divide us. Rather, our differences must be celebrated and acknowledged, and let it be the cause of our beauty as humans. Religious beliefs, values, principles, and the rest of it, they can influence social policy at both national and international levels. And these are values that we can work on. We can encourage and enhance. We can build one another's hope for a better world together. Religious teachings can provide a moral compass for leaders, shape policy agendas on issues like justice and environment, the place of youth and women and the vulnerable, and to mobilize communities for welfare and social initiatives in order to improve and enhance our well-being together. Values such as compassion and respect can contribute to a universal ethical foundation. And so let us use interfaith dialogue such as this to build not so much a consensus, but a unity of aligning our religious values with inclusive goals which can support efforts for sustainable development and environmental justice. Let me quote from Genesis, a book in the Bible, Genesis chapter 4, a story about Adam's two boys, Cain and Abel. We know the story, and I'm sure it is familiar to all of us. Cain and Abel went on an outing, and God asked at this point of time, Cain, Cain, where is your brother? And Cain responded, I don't know. Am I my brother's keeper? Am I my brother's keeper? Cain asked God back. Now this question is seen as, and really is, a self-serving attempt to evade responsibility for his horrific act. Sisters and brothers, I want to remind us that at this point of time, Cain and Abel, they were not part of any particular religious body. God confronted Cain and asked him, where is your brother? I want to urge us to reflect on this. We have a moral duty to help and support one another, each one of us, no matter our religion and faith. We have a responsibility to support one another by demonstrating love, compassion, care, and our common humanity. And yet I cannot, it would be remiss of me not to go back to the political manipulation of faith and religion. For while religious values can inspire positive social change, they can also be used by political actors to sow division and manipulate public opinion. Certainly, this is the case back at home in Malaysia. And so I pray that there should be an end to that. The potential of conflict and division and political manipulation remains persistent, and we cannot run away from it. We need to navigate this together properly, sensibly, and sensitively, so that truly religion can serve its purpose as a basis for global solidarity. I pray that we may be united on this for a better humanity and a better world. Thank you.
Thank you, Bishop Reverend Donald Jute. Your wonderful reminder. As I started at the beginning, this group, we have a lot of crises need to mitigate. So we're very grateful. Dr. Osama needs to be excused early as well. Thank you for your join. Thank you.
Honorable panelists, ladies and gentlemen, we have seen several multi-faith and multicultural cities and societies emerging. Usually we are hearing about the economic development of the United Arab Emirates. But along with economic development, there is wonderful social and societal development in the United Arab Emirates. United Arab Emirates is reflecting true pluralistic society where Muslims, non-Muslims having their worship places and they can freely worship according to their religion. They can practice their religion, but at the same time respect other religions without leaving their own religion. And for that purpose, the government of United Arab Emirates has established Ministry of Tolerance and Coexistence. The purpose and objective of this ministry is to advance interfaith, intercultural, and inter-ethnic diversity, respect, and coexistence. Yeah, it has.
Okay, they're going to restart it, reboot the system. Okay, it's working now. Thank you.
Thank you. يشرفني بداية أن أنقل لكم تحيات معالي الشيخ نهيان بن مبارك آل نهيان وزير التسامح والتعايش في دولة الإمارات العربية المتحدة، وتقديره الكبير لأهمية هذا اللقاء العالمي الذي يجمعنا في عاصمة الحوار والسلام آستنا. أيها الحضور الكريم، إن الأديان في جوهرها رسائل موجهة إلى البشرية كافة، لا إلى جماعة دون أخرى، وهي دعوة إلى الكرامة والرحمة والسلام. لكن السؤال الملح اليوم هو: كيف نجعل هذه الأديان فاعلاً رئيسياً في توحيد الإنسانية على المحبة والتعايش والسلام في زمن التنافس المحموم والانقسامات المتزايدة؟ إن القرن 21 هو قرن التحديات الكبرى: تغير المناخ، التفاوت الاقتصادي، الأوبئة العالمية، النزاعات المسلحة، وثورة الذكاء الاصطناعي، وما تحمله من تساؤلات حول معنى الإنسانية ذاتها. كل هذه التحديات تطلب منا جميعاً المساهمة في إيجاد أرضية أخلاقية عالمية، وهنا يأتي دور الأديان كمنبع للقيم المشتركة. وحين نتحدث عن توحيد الإنسانية فإننا لا نقصد إلغاء الفوارق الثقافية أو الدينية، بل نقصد بناء وعي عالمي يرى أن التنوع سنة كونية وأننا جميعاً شركاء في مصير واحد. وأرى أن الأديان تستطيع أن تكون المساهم الأكبر في بناء أخوة إنسانية مشتركة تتعدى كافة الحدود والثقافات والانقسامات من خلال التالي: أولاً، القيم المشتركة مثل الرحمة والعدل والصدق والإحسان، بحيث تصبح لغة عالمية يتفق عليها الجميع. ثانياً، تجديد الخطاب الديني ليخاطب الإنسان المعاصر بلغة تحترم العلم والعقل وتدرك التحديات الجديدة. ثالثاً، تعزيز ثقافة المسؤولية الجماعية بحيث لا يكون الدين مجرد شعائر فردية، بل يكون قوة مجتمعية تعالج قضايا الفقر والبيئة والسلام. السيدات والسادة، لقد حاولت دولة الإمارات العربية المتحدة أن تقدم نموذجاً عملياً لما تعنيه الأخوة الإنسانية الجامعة من خلال العديد من الإجراءات والمبادرات. ففي دستور دولة الإمارات وقوانينها تؤكد على حرية المعتقد وممارسة الشعائر، كما تحتضن أكثر من 200 جنسية تعيش وتعمل معاً في سلام، إضافة إلى إطلاقها مبادرة وثيقة الأخوة الإنسانية وبيت العائلة الإبراهيمية ومشاريع حوار الأديان على مستوى العالم. وهذه السياسات ليست سياسات محلية فحسب، بل أنها رسالة للعالم أجمع بأنه من الممكن بناء مجتمع حديث ومنفتح يكرم الأديان ويجعلها قوة إيجابية للتنمية والوحدة. وأود أن أتوقف هنا حول أمر حيوي، وهو أن علينا أن نقر أن الأديان قد تستغل أحياناً في تأجيج الانقسام والصراع، وهنا تبرز مسؤولية القادة الدينيين في تفكيك الخطابات المتطرفة وإعادة الدين إلى رسالته الأصلية في تعزيز السلم المجتمعي. لذلك فإن بحاجة ماسة إلى تحالف عالمي للقيم يكون للأديان فيها دور مركزي لمواجهة كل من التطرف الديني والسياسي، العنصرية وكراهية الآخر، الاستقطاب الرقمي وخطاب الكراهية في وسائل التواصل الاجتماعي. السيدات والسادة، إن القرن 21 يحتاج إلى ميثاق أخلاقي جديد تتعاون كافة الأديان على صياغته، على أن يشمل احترام كرامة كل إنسان بغض النظر عن دينه أو عرقه، حماية الضعفاء والمهمشين من آثار التغيرات الاقتصادية والتكنولوجيا، بناء ثقافة سلام عالمي تنبذ الحروب كوسيلة لحل النزاعات. أصحاب الفضيلة والسعادة، إن مسؤوليتنا اليوم هي أن نعيد للأديان دورها الجامع لا المفرق، دورها كجسر لا كسد، كدعوة إلى التآخي لا للانغلاق. يمكن للأديان توحيد الإنسانية وتوجه مسيرتها نحو مستقبل يسوده الأمن والسلام والعدل. وستبقى دولة الإمارات العربية المتحدة شريكاً فاعلاً في كل جهد عالمي لتعزيز هذه الرؤية والعمل معكم جميعاً إلى تحويلها إلى واقع ملموس للأجيال القادمة. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. شكراً.
Thank you, Excellency. Her Excellency Arifa Al-Sabri has pointed out that at this very important time of human history, we need global culture of peace and human brotherhood with the common trans-culture, trans-faith human values. Excellency, thank you very much for your presentation. So please go ahead.
We are very good. Everybody know how to do the mitigation for the crisis management. So thank you everyone for your patience. Now we're going to move into Slovakia. Dr. Jem Figo, President of the Forum for Religious Freedom, to share with us about your comments. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Greetings to all. I am glad to be here, and I spent years in different responsibilities, including political, in Europe and in my country, Slovakia, before it was Czechoslovakia. And I believe that we should also deliver something, that conclusions of this very special, exceptional Congress and gathering of so many leaders globally should also take an action, not only words. Words are appealing, calling, but examples are pulling. We need to set example and also to make a shift, positive shift, to change, positive change in 21st century. I want to speak on human dignity more than other issues, and I will start with religious freedom, because religion is with mankind from the early history. It's integral part of every human society and individual. It's part of our identity, part of our way of life. And therefore it is important to protect freedom of religion, which is understood in international relations as a triple freedom, three dimensions united in one. It's freedom of thought, freedom of conscience, and freedom of religion. Not separated, but in one rerum or forum internum. The deepest expression of human freedom is freedom of thought, our rationality. Then our morality, freedom of conscience. And then our spirituality or religiosity. This makes us different from any other being, any other organism, animal. This makes us human, deeply human, and therefore it should be protected, this forum internum, because through religion it is exceeding to forum externum. If this internal freedom is not respected by Caesar, by state, by community around, majority, external freedoms will duly not be respected as well, will be violated, like freedom of opinion, freedom of expression, of media, association, assembly. Therefore, protection of religious freedom is a must, is a litmus test of all human rights. Litmus test, very central. It's not about, but it's the beginning. And there is a very deep and strong nexus, connection, interdependence between human dignity and religious freedom. Catholic Church, as the largest religious community in the world, and its Second Vatican Council labeled its document, very famous and important document on religious freedom, Dignitatis Humanae, 1965, anniversary now in December, Dignitatis Humanae. But the other side of the same coin, when we speak about freedom, is responsibility. Many people love freedoms, all freedoms, but not so much responsibilities, obligations, duties. It's part of our current problem, generational problems, because we teach, we learn, we speak, we defend a lot of rights, but not that much duties. And rights without duties cannot work. Freedom without responsibility is unsustainable, is suicidal even, killing itself. Freedom without responsibility. Look to children, if they have freedom to do whatever, but no responsibility for what they do. So it's suicidal. It's like with corporate social responsibility, not only run for profits, but also care about society, about employees. I would like to dwell on the notion of a religious social responsibility. We have not only a say, but also a duty over society, what's going on, what prevails, justice, common good, dignity, or something else, intolerance, violence, extremism, conflict, and even war, genocide, crime of crimes. According Pew Research Center, which is located in Washington, very reliable professional think tank and research center, 84% of global population claim or express a religious affiliation. 84%, it's overwhelming majority. It should be visible in the world. It's not so much about percentage, but quality of relations, morality, rationality. What kind of religiosity this 84% represent? And the number is growing, which is fine, which is in reflection of the whole history, identity of mankind. We are seeking supreme authority. We need to understand or desire eternity, happiness, full, unlimited happiness in life. This is normal. This is human, deeply human. And therefore, religion has a role to play, but also to bring answers. Why there are so many wars, so many conflicts, violence on rise, intolerance, discrimination, and I already mentioned genocides. We signed the treaty, anti-genocide treaty, 1948, December. And the motto or creed of this treaty is never again. But the reality is again, and again, and again. My dear brothers and sisters, a rate of our personal and communal responsibility for the status of the world is given by the rate of influence. Everybody has influence, everybody. Some have great or greater powers, superpowers. Some have little, but everybody has influence. And we should reflect on our rate of responsibility due to or through to rate of influence. But message of major traditional global religions, world religions, is usually very common. Dignity, dignitatis, human dignity, justice, common good. These are so important objectives. Today, not many leaders in the world speak about common good, as our forefathers used to do. And peace is the beginning of common good. Peace brings stability, security, and prosperity. Why not? We are invited to live in peace, stability, prosperity, more than in 20th century. We can speak a lot about history, but our time is now 21st century. Maybe, hopefully tomorrow. But today we can do something. Yesterday is done, past, over. Tomorrow it's a hope, but today we can do something. And here I want to bring a bit more concrete idea and proposal, which is about culture of human dignity. Christians believe that we are all created in the image of God, imago Dei in Latin. When I was envoy for religious freedom, I met many great people in Muslim majority countries, including United Arab Emirates or Malaysia, Indonesia, Egypt, Pakistan, Sudan, and so on and so on. And I found that there is very strong understanding of human dignity and karamah in Arabic. And that's the common point. Where we find common point and common ground, we can find common future, common good, common victory, if we want. So respect to human dignity of all is the road to peace for all. If, again, we truly, duly respect dignity of everyone, every man and every woman. We are all equal in dignity and we are all different in identity. This is not the problem. This is the principle, definition of humanity. All equal in dignity, whether we come from a royal family or from homeless family and all different in identity. My son is different from me, and that's okay. Human person is, again, triple being: individual, relational, and social. Everybody is original, authentic, unreplaceable, unless we start cloning. And if this original is not fulfilled for whatever reasons, it will be never replaced or fulfilled by anybody else. This is our originality. And when we speak about originality, it's about billions of people today, 8 billions, billions people in the history, and billions people coming in the century after us. Everybody is original. But everybody needs somebody. It's a relation. Nobody can be happy isolated like an island. We need a person. We need a relation to be happy, truly, and finally, or in lasting sense. And the third one is society. Everybody comes through family, needs a family or society, locally, regionally, nationally, and we have duty towards this community which we live in. And I don't speak this message as a religious one. This is fully embodied in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights adopted after the Second World War in December 1948. So human dignity, because of that importance, must be a departure point of any policy, any public policy or measures. It must be a criterion from A to B, and it must be objective of public policy. Departure point, criterion in application, implementation, and the end or objective of any public effort. And there are two very simple and very ancient principles, like two legs, left and right. Which one leg is more important? Both. But they are important in order to move to the other, to walk in life. And these two principles are silver and golden. The silver one says, don't do the other what you don't want other to do unto you. It is about reciprocity. It is about tolerance. It is about justice, politeness. Some people say this is even more important than the golden one, but the golden one is top. It says, do unto others what you want others to do unto you. This is empathy, sympathy, compassion. God is compassionate, solidarity, but also top of human qualities, love, amore, charity. And we need to build our culture on these two ancient moral principles. And this leads to culture of human dignity of all and for all. And here I would like to conclude by saying that the role of churches and for churches and religious communities, of course, we can share it, and we do in our presentation, is love God, love your neighbor, care for creation. So this is invitation to the brotherhood in action. If we say, and especially religious leaders represent divine truth, that we are all one family because there is one creator, one father. So it should be visible, this example, instead of too many words. In Quran you can read, we are all brothers in faith or in humanity, but brothers. Jesus Christ said, love your enemy. This is not easy, but it's possible. And it is transformational in life. It's not only a change, it transforms everything. Understanding, relation, expressions, behavior, mentality, culture. So this is the role of leaders, to show dialogue, but especially lead by example. People often do not read encyclicals or fatwas, documents, religious documents, but they see pictures, images. When they see Pope and Ayatollah or Grand Imam, it's more than reading documents. It's a message. It's invitation. So it's important that we are together. It's a message for living peacefully together, not only existing. Living and existing, it's totally different. And especially in time when we are not only existing together, but even fight together. So when I was special envoy, and this is the conclusion, I initiated adoption of such declaration on human dignity for everyone, everywhere. It has a name, Punta del Este, Eastern Point, which is part of Portugal, the most eastern part of the Western Hemisphere in Latin America. And its declaration of 10 points on human dignity, why dignity matters, as a tribute to the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which starts in the preamble with quoting dignity as source of our rights, freedom, but also 5 times in one document mentions dignity. Dignity is included or referred to in more than 160 constitutions worldwide, including the largest Indian constitution from 1947. And why I mention it? Because declaration is only declaration. But I proposed, and there is a diplomatic initiative now going on proposal to the United Nations General Assembly to declare Human Dignity Day, to have a special day for learning, defending, promoting awareness, understanding of Karamach, Imago Dei, dignity.
Thank you,
And-
Dr. Pagel, because of the time.
The last sentence.
Yeah.
There is a ready-made text and also explanatory memorandum, but also diplomatic position of 3 countries, Gambia, Kenya, and Uruguay, to support it. I would be happy, and we all, if Kazakhstan or some other countries, but especially a hosting country, would propose it in the United Nations General Assembly, lead the initiative, and finally adopt as a contribution from this forum. Thank you.
Thank you.
Shukran.
Thank you for your Dignity Day proposal. Thank you. Dr. Mohammed.
Our next speaker is Professor Tanzino Onesti, President of Pediatric Hospital, Vatican. Ladies and gentlemen, you know what is the contribution of Vatican in advancing interfaith dialogue, and it is Vatican which has turned this concept into a religious tradition. So I request Professor Tizano for his presentation.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Your Excellencies, Mr. President of Kazakhstan, distinguished representatives of the institutions, and estimated leaders of the world's traditional religions. Thank you for your kind invitation to this important Congress. I am truly honored to be here today to share with you a short testimony, together with a reflection and a proposal, something I hope may spark in all of us a small flame of hope. My name is Tiziano Onesti. I am professor of economics, and for the past 3 years, I have had the honor and the responsibility of presiding over a hospital that is much more than just a place of care. Bambino Gesù Children's Hospital in Rome, Italy, one of the most important pediatric hospitals in the world. It's a very special hospital because it's dedicated to the children, the most fragile among the fragile, aware that they are the future. Known as the Pope's Hospital, it stands as a symbol of hope, love, clinical excellence, and research. Yet what truly makes it unique is its mission, to unite science with solidarity, to respond to the needs of children everywhere in the world, without distinction and without barriers. From Myanmar to Gaza, from Peru to Ivory Coast, from Iran to Cambodia, dozens of cooperation projects are underway, efforts to bring care, dignity, and hope where they are needed most. Wherever it stands, a hospital is first and foremost a place of care, a place where people struggle with all their strength to protect life, to restore health, and to offer hope. There is a Latin word that captures all this, salus. It means both health and salvation. Two ideas deeply connected, two words that remind us that a true health is not only the absence of disease, but a complete state of well-being, physical, mental, spiritual. This is the principle of One Health, a vision of care that embraces the whole human being. And salvation. Salvation is something more. It's deliverance from danger, fear, suffering. It's the possibility of transcending the limits of human frailty and of discovering a deeper freedom, also a spiritual one. Every single one of us, at every moment, needs both health and salvation. It's a universal need, one that unites all people across cultures, races, and religions. In a world scarred by division, hatred, and war, this truth becomes even clearer. Every human being is in need of help. We all need to be saved from something, be it illness, fear, pandemics, violence. This fragile and mysterious self that we are, aware of our mortality, never ceases to search for a path to salvation, to liberation. And here is where my proposal begins, a shared project, a journey of hope and concrete action. This is not a matter of religion, that is not my role, but of humanity. It's a message of solidarity directed to those who are most defenseless, children. Children are the most vulnerable of all, and when they are sick, they become even more fragile. When the illness cannot be cured, the suffering becomes even heavier to bear. Caring for them in the deepest and most spiritual sense means showing that we believe it's possible to bring health and salvation to everyone, starting from the least, the weakest, the most defenseless. That is why today I want to propose something concrete, a shared path, a project that unites us in the cause. To all of you here today, religious leaders, political leaders, and all people of goodwill, I extend this invitation. Let us work together to draft a charter of principle for the holistic care of incurable children. There are still illnesses that cannot be cured, but every child has the right to live with dignity, to receive appropriate care, and to be fully included in the society. This charter would embrace not only the condition of terminal ill children, but also those who live their whole lives with several chronic illnesses, permanent disabilities, neurological, psychiatric, genetic, or metabolic conditions, children who require constant care and rehabilitation. Holistic care means not only medical treatment, but also research, rehabilitation, education, relationships, spiritual and social support. Even today, there are many diseases that cannot be cured, not even in the wealthiest countries. Yet, starting right now, with everyone's commitment, we can bring salvation to children and their families. The salvation of presence, the salvation of beloved, the salvation of being recognized as worthy of attention and care. What we need is to foster a culture of care. By writing this document together, a document that reflects our shared commitment, our hopes, and our future actions, we can truly make a difference. We can build a path of solidarity and care, involving hospitals, associations, communities, and individuals with sensitivity and respect for all perspectives. And what is your goal? To present this charter here officially and at the next edition of this Congress, if it's possible. I firmly believe that today, more than ever, to promote health is to promote peace. And bringing peace and health into the world means bringing humanity closer to true salvation. This is all. Thank you very much, so much for your attention. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Professor Honesty. Professor has proposed charter of dignity for the child. He's of the view that we may not able to provide health facility, cure from the diseases to every child, but we may provide respect and dignity to every child. Thank you very much for your presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, we have the last presentation. This presentation is from His Excellency Mr. Malcolm I. Hollian. He is Executive Vice Chairman of the Conference of Presidents of Major American Jewish Organizations of United States. So His Excellency Mr. Malcolm, the floor is yours.
Thank you, and I want to thank President Tokayev and all of those responsible for this event. You know, the first words we as Jews say in the morning is Moda Ani, thanks I give. And they ask why that order, because first words out of our mouth have to be thanks, to express appreciation for what we have. We too often focus on the negative without focusing on the positive. And I think Kazakhstan deserves recognition that it is a model of bringing faiths together, not only in this kind of gathering, but in the living way of everyday life. Jews have lived here for more than 2,600 years with no Jew hatred, or otherwise called anti-Semitism. And this spirit of tolerance and acceptance is really a model for all. I want to talk about some of the issues that were raised in the direction for this session. We see the attempts in the world to marginalize so many. Religion is one of the few things that is common to every society, although it can be expressed in many different ways. Today we see those who are seeking to limit it, those who want to distract the members, those who even want to alienate the youth. Governments have tried to ban it or limit it, others to prosecute believers, because our faiths underscore the importance of justice, of compassion, of respect, all traits that count so much in countering the radical extremism, often the godless and valueless movements that glorify death, not life, that endanger their and other members, their and others' children. They may be from the far right or far left, but we know that when extremes go far enough, they meet. Some, in fact, go so far as to counter their own interests and endanger themselves. But the goal doesn't matter. These do not matter as long as they achieve their goals. We look more alike than different. Hate is a common denominator, and that is why a dialogue of civilizations, of the civilized, is so vital and timely. We do not communicate directly often enough. Where we have the opportunity to dispel the lies and misrepresentations and misunderstandings, to clarify positions, and instead we rely on hostile declarations, insightful statements, the views of the extremes, the destroyers of civilization and its values. We know that people often resort to pitting us against each other to achieve their goals. We see the veiled threats, often very open threats today, being expressed. We see the promotion of hatred and violence becoming more and more acceptable. We see even the targeting in the United States of children in kindergartens and nurseries, with foreign governments investing billions of dollars to teach them hate and separation and division. The Catholic Church says, give me a child till he's 6, you can have him the rest of their lives. We see that these young children are being inculcated with messages of hate that will drive them for the rest of their lives, perhaps ruin their lives. Do parents have to fear sending their beloved children to school for fear that their minds will be hijacked? Do we see the tens of billions of dollars being invested on our campuses in order to instill hatred and violence, to encourage demonstrations and divisions between the students, rather than educating, rather than building bridges? And foreign governments should be held to account for their actions in this regard and their disregard for the interests of the victims. The words of religious leaders have to be heard to retain credibility, to live up to their mission, to fulfill their mandate, and not fall into the trap of misinformation and disinformation. Today, our world is in eruption and disruption. It needs the clarion calls based on values and the imperatives that our traditions have passed on to us from generation to generation. That is the test of our legitimacy of leaders of society, of bearers of timeless messages that are relevant and more important than ever today. We are on the eve of the Jewish New Year, Rosh Hashanah, which will be celebrated on Monday night, and the 10 days thereafter, leading up to Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement. We know that this is a very special period in our lives, but it's not a period of mourning or of fear. When we enter Rosh Hashanah, we enter it in a spirit of hope that the next year will be better, that our lives will be better, that our actions will be better. You know, for us, history is about the future. It is unique to Judaism, is that we look back in order to look forward. We look back in order to learn the lessons and spare future generations those trials and tribulations. We look back to the book of death to see what others did, and perhaps their deeds now come to fruition and they earn the credits. And we enter the day of judgment then, reassured and confident. We know that God wants humankind to succeed. He doesn't want to punish them. He puts them not on trial, believers and non-believers, but he puts them to the test. For while we may say different prayers in different languages and different melodies and styles, we all want the same thing for ourselves, for our children, for our communities. Do not all of us have the same aspirations that we want our grandchildren to live in peace and to be able to prosper? Do we not have the same hopes for our communities? The problem is that we always talk about what differentiates us. The media emphasizes what differences we have because it makes much better copy. In our prayers on Rosh Hashanah, we pray in the plural because we do not just pray for ourselves. We do not just pray for Jews. We pray for the world. We pray for all communities because we know that none of us is safe and none of us can survive and be viable if all of us are not. We cannot eliminate hate. It's a fact. It's a fact that has been present throughout human history, but it can be contained. It has been generated by jealousy, by fear, by anger, every human emotion, but it can be diminished by reason, by law, by education, by solid interaction, by coercion. All things that can bring us to a better understanding of ourselves and of others. But it is a concern, it is a cancer that reappears periodically. And so while we cannot eradicate it, we must find ways together to limit it, to drive it back under the rocks, and that those who express those racist and hateful views, those bigoted expressions, will know that it is not acceptable in society. We don't want to see the Jew hatred that is being globally expressed today, worse than any time since the Holocaust, and maybe even worse in some cases than the pre-Holocaust period. We see ancient lies and baseless new accusations being promoted, sometimes even by religious groups, and being transmitted by the most modern of technologies, especially the internet. It took Hitler months to spread the big lie. Today it's done in nanoseconds. Our young are especially vulnerable. We need responsible governance and parents who care. We need to see people who will legislate, who will take action, both on a community level and on a governmental level. And we have to hold them to account that our children are not poisoned and their lives ruined, as so many have been till now. People who say they are unaware. 80 years ago, people said they didn't know. It was a lie. They didn't want to know. Today, there's not going to be a cloak of ignorance to hide our shame. We know the threats. We know the dangers. The question is, what do we do about it? How do we rise up to save the endangered? Religious voices count, and they must be heard. Their voices reverberate and influence. We have to hold to account those who violate these basic standards. Words matter. Words can heal, and words can kill. We see those who engaging in revisionism, rewriting history to serve political and extremist ends. We find positive portrayals now of Nazism and Nazis, and claiming that Churchill was worse than the Nazis. This is endangering our future when our young are raised on these kind of lies, and it's not just ours, it's everyone. It's a universal problem around the world, and those countries that have taken steps to fix their textbooks should be applauded, but the others should be held to account. We need the moral voices to speak up, to say that, to protect our young, because by doing that, we protect our freedoms, we protect democracy and democratic values, and contribute to social policy. The Bible mentions 36 times to love your neighbor, to take care of the stranger. 36 times because we know that it's not necessarily human nature to stand up for the downtrodden, but that is our obligation. It's a process of education and enlightenment where prejudices are debated and debunked and positive relationships are established, emphasizing what we have in common, not what separates us. We don't have to compromise on principle. We have to come together to recognize the bottom lines of what we have in common, and on that we can then discuss our differences. We also have to make sure that our politicians, our media, and others help serve this purpose. Jew hatred, anti-Semitism today affects Jews first, as it has through history, but never lasts. Once it infects the society, everybody becomes vulnerable to it. Tens of millions of non-Jews paid the price 80 years ago because of unfettered hatred. And we should not be promoting policies of tolerance. Tolerance is not acceptable. We want full acceptance. We want respect. We want people to know that we are all equals and that we have to be treated as such. The prayers that we express in the coming days on Rosh Hashanah, at a time when the world seems to be suffering from a collective PTSD, those prayers are more important than ever, and the prayers of every religious group, that we have a process of healing that is so vital today, that we redeem our children, our young, who have been subjected to all of this hate and have adopted so many of these ancient bigotries that we thought were dead. You know, the Bible teaches us that the greatest danger is not natural disasters or wars. The greatest dangers are indifference and apathy. Those are the challenges that cannot be overcome, and we cannot allow ourselves to become victims. We cannot allow our communities to become victims of indifference, because then our causes are lost, and our children and our grandchildren will pay the price. We learned the lessons of the past in order to get a better direction for the future. We have so much in common that outweighs our differences, yet we emphasize the differences, and we let those who exploit those differences to get away with it. We cannot tolerate it anymore. V'ahavta l'reacha, this commandment that we love our neighbor, is so central to our religion as it is to most of yours. Unity does not demand homogeneity. It doesn't demand that we be alike. It does say that unity says we recognize each other's humanity and that we work together to find to fulfill our common aspirations. to find common directions, our hopes for the future for our children and grandchildren, that we can see, look back later, and they will judge us and say, you did well, or you failed us. We have now to see that we are working for the generations to come. The decisions being made now are not for years or months, they are for decades and lifetimes. They will all hold us to account for what we do, what our institutions do, and for what we fail to do. It's time to reiterate the biblical challenge, uvacharta v'chaim, to choose life. Those who value death, to extol death and inculcate young with that meaning, are destroying our future. V'charta v'chaim means that we choose life for ourselves and others. The Bible says, God said to the Jewish people, I put before you a blessing and a curse.
Excellency, I request you to conclude. Yeah.
No, I'm finished now. A blessing and a curse. How can it be both? The answer is that every blessing can be a curse and every curse a blessing depending upon what we do with it. People win the lottery that ruins their lives. People have tragic events, and it turns out to be a turning point in their lives. This is the critical stage that we are now, when we choose life, to recognize the opportunities that we have and the price if we fail, for all the generations to come. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Excellency. Excellency is particularly saying that we should not invest to teach hate to the students, and knowledge should be separated from the hate. Thank you very much for your emotional presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, since we are close to, we have exceeded 10 minutes of our time, so we cannot have further discussion and question answers. I just like to, I'm thankful to my co-host and for the panelists for their contribution. Indeed, this is an important discussion that we have on role of religion in the sustainable human development, and I pay tribute to my co-host, Honorable Deborah Broderickx, and our panelists, Dr. Usama Al-Azhari, Reverend Donald Jude, Her Excellency Arfa Al-Sabri, Professor Onisto, Mr. McCallum, Dr. Jan Fiegel, and Mr. Juten Roy. Thank you very much, and we will have a group photo, and after that we will leave.
Thank you for staying with us. Thank you so much.
We have photo, please.
Senti, che faccio? Ti chiamo?